It's Time Warner Cable's local edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. The mayor of Claremont is with us. His name is Joe Lyons. And I see, sir, that you're wearing a green ribbon to bring awareness to those grappling with mental illness, demystify mental illness. I know you're involved in the Tri-City Mental Health Coalition, NAMI, National Association of Mental Illness. Talk to us about why you brought this to the fore.
Well, I brought it to the fore through personal experience, having family members who are diagnosed with bipolar disorder. My interests in NAMI are, of course, to advance the interests and reduce the stigma associated with mental illness.
And when I think about you, I also think about the struggles of all parents who may have a child that suffers from mental illness. I hope it's okay that I say that. You have told me that you have a child. And then it brings me to the parents of the perpetrator in Isla Vista, who we know did as much as they could to try to bring their son to the proper authorities, the proper mental health care professionals, and ultimately they could not succeed, and their son fell apart, and hence the tragedy in Santa Barbara. Talk to us about that and what it means to you and what we can do as parents and as society members.
I think every parent's nightmare who suffers, a parent of who suffers with bipolar, the serious mental illnesses, are always waiting for that phone call that either something bad has happened to their child or their child has done something that we all regret. And the best thing that I think society as a whole can do is understand that underlying this is an organic disorder of the brain. Over
and
which
you know, you're a medical professional yourself.
That's correct. Over which there is no control. Medications help, but they certainly don't eliminate the disease underlying.
At the same time, there's so much focus on mentally ill when we see these tragedies unfold, but we also know that the mentally ill are just as much at risk of committing a crime as those that don't suffer from mental illness. It's about 4%.
That's correct.
And so are we too hyper-focused on mental illness when maybe we should be focused on other things like access to guns or juvenile justice or education?
I think a separate issue is obviously access to guns and other weapons that might create violence. But I think that the biggest issue is one around understanding, in fact, the statistics, and two, understanding that with appropriate intervention early in the course of an individual's lives, very often one can go back and see symptomatic expressions.
Yeah, as I understand it, if you could get to the children even before puberty, just with talk therapy, I mean, that could head off a lifetime of heartache.
That's correct. And I think the other thing is that the stigma associated with mental illness, and again, not helped by the kind of press that those with mental illness who commit crime are focused on. I think it makes it much more difficult for us as a culture to deal with it and to get early intervention.
And as I understand it, as it relates to your family, they have been successfully treated with medications. I mean, nothing's perfect, but you know, even the stigma behind medication, I would argue, would need to subside. Because, look, if you have cancer, you take a pill.
That's correct.
If you have a mental illness, you can also take a pill.
That's correct. And I think that therein lies the real impact that stigma has, is it doesn't get people into therapy with medications that, when applied early on, can in fact change the course of an individual's lives dramatically.
And I understand with your family, they are doing well. They have found a life that is happy and healthful, living in the mountains and succeeding. It can work. His name is Joe Lyons. He is the mayor of Claremont, also involved in the Tri-City Mental Health Coalition, as well as the National Association of Mental Illness. My name is Brad Pomerance, and this is Time Warner Cable's local edition.